Most of us struggle with forgiveness. Forgiving people is not easy, especially when the pain they've caused you cuts really deep. When someone has hurt you so badly or betrayed you, the first instinct is not always to forgive or show mercy, but to pull away, act like the person no longer exists, or even seek revenge. Now imagine having not just the opportunity, but the power to completely erase the legacy of someone who once tried to destroy you. That is exactly where King David found himself, and what he chose to do instead is one of the most powerful and unexpected acts of grace recorded in the Bible. The story unfolds in 2 Samuel chapter 9, but its roots go much deeper. Before David ever became king, Saul, the first king of Israel, had hunted him relentlessly. What started as jealousy grew into obsession, and King Saul repeatedly pursued David with the goal of eliminating him. David lived on the run, constantly hiding and escaping, never knowing when Saul would strike again. Yet in the middle of all that chaos, David formed a deep and genuine friendship with Jonathan, King Saul's son. Their bond was strong, and David made a promise to Jonathan that he would always show kindness to his family, no matter what happened. Years later, everything had changed. King Saul died in battle together with his son Jonathan, and David became king. During those times, it was common practice for a new king to eliminate any surviving members of the previous king's family to secure his position. Any descendant of Saul could be seen as a threat, a potential rival who could claim the throne. David, as king, had every right, both culturally and politically, to wipe out Saul's lineage completely. No one would have questioned him if he did. But David's heart moved in a different direction. Instead of asking who of Saul's lineage had remained so he could eliminate them, he asked a question that must have shocked everyone around him. David asked his men, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake?" That question alone revealed everything about David's character. He was not driven by fear or revenge, but by loyalty, love, and a desire to honor a promise he had made to his best friend and Saul's son Jonathan years before. When David's servants went searching, they found a man named Mephibosheth, whom the Bible says was the son of Jonathan and the grandson of Saul. Mephibosheth's story was tragic. When he was just 5 years old, news came that his father Jonathan and grandfather Saul had died in battle. In the panic that followed, the Bible says his nurse tried to flee with him, but in her haste, the nurse accidentally dropped him. That fall left Mephibosheth crippled in both feet for the rest of his life. From that moment on, after losing his family, Mephibosheth's life took a completely different turn. Instead of growing up as royalty, he ended up living in hiding in a place called Lo-Debar, a dry and forgotten land filled with nothing but lack and hopelessness. Mephibosheth was not just physically broken, he was living in fear. As a descendant of Saul, he had every reason to believe that the new king might come looking for him, not to show kindness, but to end his life. So when King David's servants finally found him and summoned him to the palace, you can imagine the fear that gripped his heart. This was not an invitation he could refuse, and in his mind, it likely felt like the end. Mephibosheth was then brought before King David, expecting judgment. But instead, he encountered something he never saw coming. The Bible says King David looked at Mephibosheth and said to him, "Do not be afraid." Those words alone must have felt like a wave of relief to Mephibosheth. But David did not stop there. He told Mephibosheth that he would show him kindness because of his father Jonathan. David restored to him all the land that once belonged to his grandfather King Saul, giving him back his inheritance and dignity. Then David made a declaration that changed everything. He told Mephibosheth that he would always eat at the king's table. This was not a small gesture. This was a complete transformation. Mephibosheth went from living in isolation and poverty to living in the presence of the king. He went from being forgotten to being honored, from being afraid for his life to being treated like one of King David's own sons. Every time he sat at that table, all people could see was his royal privileges, not his disability. What makes this story so powerful is not just the kindness itself, but who it was shown to. Mephibosheth was the grandson of Saul, a man who had repeatedly tried to kill David. By every human standard, Mephibosheth was undeserving of David's kindness. Yet David chose mercy over revenge, grace over justice, and love over bitterness. As Christians, this story challenges us in a deeply personal way. It forces us to examine how we respond to those who have hurt us directly or indirectly. Through his actions, David showed us that true strength is not found in revenge, but in restraint. His actions revealed that honor is not just about how we treat those who are good to us, but how we treat those who remind us of our past pain. Even more profoundly, this story reflects the heart of God. In many ways, most of us are like Mephibosheth, broken, undeserving, and living in fear. Yet God, through David, called Mephibosheth out of his hiding place, restored the joy he had lost, and invited him into a place of honor that he could never have earned on his own. So as we conclude this video, I pray that God may remember you in a mighty way, just as he remembered Mephibosheth. If you've enjoyed this story or learned something from it, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Be blessed.